I'm calling it now. It is about to be a cool toned fall and I'm so excited about it. I've just been noticing a handful of new cool toned makeup releases, specifically eyeshadow palettes. In my last video, we talked about this one from Profusion, their Twilight palette. This one is more bold, colorful, sultry. And then we get the announcement that Urban Decay is bringing the Naked palette back from the dead. Urban Decay just re-released the original Naked palette, which is definitely cool leaning. And then I get this in my mailbox, the new Alter Ego Daylight palette. So this is a new 15 shade palette from Alter Ego, and look at all of this cool toned goodness. So this inspired me to want to do a cool toned fall makeup look today. I also have some other affordable makeup releases that I have not tried yet that I'll dip into. But first, if you're new here, hi, my name is Miranda. This channel is dedicated to budget beauty. If that sounds like your vibe, hit subscribe. We're gonna go straight into eyeshadow today. So I'm starting with the Alter Ego eyeshadow base. And aside from the new palette, I also have a new brush set from them. I don't know if I've actually ever tried their eyeshadow or face brushes, but they have this new set that only costs $24. But don't forget, I do have an affiliate code for Alter Ego. It's just /beauty at checkout. It'll get you 10% off. All right, here we are. They definitely look very luxe with this kind of metallic gray handle, and the bristles are very soft. So I may not use all of these, but let me go through what each one is for. We have the 101 concealer brush, which has sort of this angled doe foot shape. I love this shape of brush for getting under my eyes and like around the nose. So really excited to use that. Then we have the 102 angled brush, but this is like way fluffier than most of my angled brushes. So I don't know if I would necessarily use this for contour, but I could probably use it for bronzer and blush. We have the 201 detailer brush, which I could see myself using on my brow bone and in my inner corner. The 202 shimmer brush. I'm really interested in this. It's got more of like a waxy feel to the bristles, so I'm assuming it's designed to pick up those shimmer shades and really pack them on without fluffing shimmer everywhere and getting a lot of fallout. So really curious to test this out today. And then we have our standard lid shader, crease, and blending brushes. Taking that lid shader brush, I'm gonna start out by going into Airy, and I'm just gonna use that to set my primer. Love how much color we're getting from such a light matte. I've been pretty happy with most of Alter Ego's palettes. I think there are only a few where either the color story didn't speak to me or the shades didn't necessarily deliver the punch that I wanted. But for the most part, I think they're definitely one of those brands that are a little bit slept on because they're online only. They're not as mainstream. I think a lot of people also kind of consider them a dupe brand because a lot of their eyeshadow palettes do resemble Natasha Denona palettes. But I'm not really in the loop with Natasha Denona, so when I get these palettes, I'm just seeing them for what they are and have generally been pretty impressed by their performance and price point. So this palette is only $22. I think I'm gonna go into Path, which is this grayish taupe. So I'm just applying this to the outer corner. I'm kind of going from the very corner of my eye outward into a wing and then just bringing it slightly into my crease, but I don't want to go any further in than like the middle of my lid. See how it kind of like flares upward and out at the outer corner? That's what I'm going for. Now I'm gonna try this shimmer brush. I'm really excited about it because usually with shimmers like these, they're absolutely beautiful. They're on the softer side and I do feel like they apply better with my fingers. They just kind of grip onto the skin a little bit better and you can really pack them on without getting shadow everywhere. But if this is designed to be a shimmer brush, I want to see how it does with the shimmer. So I think for my lid, I want to go into Glory. You can see that it's definitely got a lot of the formula on there. Let's see how it applies though. I'm going to put this right in the center of my lid. I think I'm gonna do my other eye with my finger just to compare the application, but this is definitely not bad at all. And this shade I would call like a neutral bronze or a cooler bronze. That's beautiful. Really pretty. Okay, let's test out the other side with my finger. Yeah, honestly, I feel like the color payoff is pretty comparable. So it is definitely helpful to have a brush like this because you can just get a little bit more precise. And then of course you don't end up with product all over your hands. Okay, taking that crease brush, first I'm gonna go into Lucid, which is like a medium gray taupe, or maybe even a grayish, if you will. And again, I'm gonna start in that outer corner of my eye, or like the corner of my lash line, and move upward, and then just bring that slightly in to the crease. This crease brush is like the perfect size. So my intention with this sort of like upward flare and keeping the dark shadows like as far in the outer corner as possible is I feel like it'll allow me to apply these deeper shades without weighing down my eye. That's something that I've noticed as I get older. I'm only 31, but I do notice ways that my face is changing since I started wearing makeup at 13. And I do notice that a darker outer corner tends to kind of add a little bit of droop. So I've just been kind of tweaking as I go, as I play around with my eyeshadow to see how I can still use the shades that I like without the unintended effects of, you know, making something look lower or heavy. So this is still a very relatively new thing that I'm trying. I'm kind of like flaring it upward toward the tail of my brow and keeping it very, very focused and precise in this area of my eye, versus before I would have swept, you know, that blending shade all the way to like here, and I would have had like my whole crease shade kind of coming in. So far, very impressed with the shadow quality. I feel like it is on par with what we've been seeing from Alter Ego. The mattes are pigmented, super smooth, easy to blend. The shimmers are also smooth and buttery, and they're not like metallic, because I know that not everybody likes that super chrome look of eyeshadow. It is very much a soft shimmer look. Taking that small detail brush, I think I'm gonna go into Mist. It's like this beautiful cool tone champagne. There might be a little bit of a pink undertone to it. Let's see. I'll put that on my brow bone. So pretty. And in my inner corner. I am being summoned to open the door to my office by my cat. Now I will say this detail brush is a lot looser than that shimmer brush. So because I'm using it to apply a shimmer, I am getting a little bit of fallout with this shade because it's more on the fluffy side. So just something to consider with how you apply these shades and how you use the brushes as well. Now I quite like where we are. This is definitely very soft, but I do feel like I need a little bit more definition in the outer portion of my eye, and maybe even do a little bit of a smoky liner look. So in the palette there is a really nice rich dark brown that I think would work well for a powder liner. For this, I am going into a different brush set. This is a brush from AOA. It's their E134 brush. Most people would just call it like a pencil brush. I'm going to use this as a liner and kind of follow that upward angle that I tried to do the eyeshadow in. I think I wish that this brown was slightly darker. And I'm bringing that liner to the halfway point of my lash line. Yeah, I'm really loving this cool tone look. I mean, we've been in such a cycle of like orangey, like pumpkin spice, warm neutral palettes in the fall. And then we get gold, sun-kissed, warm neutrals in the summer. And it's just been like that for so long that this seems very much new and refreshing, and I'm excited that cool tone neutrals may be the trend this fall. I think I very much accomplished what I was going for with this eyeshadow placement technique, because I feel like my eyes still look very much open and wide, versus when I bring those darker shades in more, I feel like it just closes off my eye at this point, especially because as time goes on, my brows are getting lower, y'all. And so keeping this area lighter just makes everything look more lifted. Just quickly tight lining my eyes, and I'm actually using the Stardust Love shade, which is a dark gray from Essence. It's actually a gray with shimmer, although the shimmer doesn't really show when I put it on my waterline, but it's just a nice alternative to dark black or brown. So let me show you swatches of the rest of this Alter Ego Daylight palette. I'm so excited to use this fall. I just love the taupes. I love the grayish tones. But as you see, there are some more like medium peachy tones that are still cool, so they work well in the context of the palette. But if you're not, you know, as eager to play with these grays, you do still have those there that I think make this very wearable. And something that I noticed as well is that you can kind of break up this palette into quads. Like if you section these shades into 4 of the outer corners, it kind of looks like those were meant to be quads. So a lot of cohesiveness here. My one complaint is that it is a bit shimmer heavy. I would have liked 1 or 2 more like mid-toned mattes, or maybe even a dark gray, even darker than Lucid. I think that would have been helpful. Also, seeing these swatched side by side, I think Path and Fawn look like almost the exact same color next to each other. So one of those could have been a different shade. But that's just personal preference and something that I like to see in eyeshadow palettes. But I will say that some of these deeper and mid-toned shimmers I think will also work really well as just all over lid shades. I know I love a shimmery bronze all over the lid or a shimmery taupe all over the lid, so I can see myself using these shades like that as well and not necessarily having to create like a full, you know, multi-shade look every single time with this. Moving on to mascara, I have a new drugstore mascara to try that I have not opened yet. Essence just released their new Lash Without Limits mascara. This is supposed to be an extreme lengthening and volume mascara. Very excited to try it. I'm not gonna lie, it kind of reminds me a little bit of Maybelline Sky High, just with the packaging and the wand. It's a bit thinner of a mascara wand than Sky High, but you do still get that sort of tapered cone shape. It's also very flexible. The bristles look like they are silicone. Wow, there are a lot of little bristles on this. Like I can feel them getting in between all my lashes. Really keeping my lashes separated and coating them pretty evenly. I haven't dipped back into the tube yet. This is where I'm at so far. And I'm not done. Like I still kind of want to flare and add a little bit more to this outer corner, but look at this before and after. And I did not double dip. And it didn't even look like there was that much product on the brush, but it really does build up nicely. 0 clumps. And I mean, so far it's definitely holding up to the extreme length claim. And for me, the volume is like the perfect amount. It's not getting chunky. Okay, I'm happy with how much I've layered this up. This looks great. And I gotta say, despite putting on multiple coats, I don't feel like I've lost that much curl. And I have very straight lashes. I gotta crimp them with my curler. So I expect to lose little curl, especially depending on how heavy the mascara is, how wet the formula is. And I would say that this is a wetter formula, but look, not that much comes out on the brush straight out of the tube. It does have a very good stopper inside. So you're not getting excess product here. The bristles are really coating the lashes pretty evenly. The only thing that I think could be improved on with this brush, because I actually really do like it, I wish that there were bristles like at the very, very tip, just because I think part of the draw for cone-shaped brushes like this is that you can really get into that inner corner, but sometimes you just need some extra bristles there. It's funny because I feel like I'm getting comparable length to Lash Princess, maybe even more, and it just looks lighter overall because Lash Princess is kind of a heavy mascara. It's also a very polarizing mascara. A lot of people say that it looks spidery on them or that it flakes a lot on them. I do find it to be flaky sometimes if I build up a lot and really layer on top of each other, but this is giving me like that same dramatic fanned out length, but just it looks lighter. It looks much more separated. Dare I say, I think I like this one much better. And yeah, just checked. This is $4.99, just like all their other mascaras. I love that they're keeping the price low despite the quality seemingly increasing. And it's also available in brown. This might be one of my favorite drugstore mascara releases this year. I'm just Loving the effect, and the price cannot be beat. Finishing the rest of the face after you've done a cool toned eye look like this can be a little tricky sometimes, especially if you have a go-to bronzer or blush that leans on the warm side. Putting those next to each other on the face is gonna create that contrast that ends up looking very mismatched. So I'm gonna try to choose products that are on the cooler side to create more cohesion here. So I picked out the bronze sticks from ColourPop. This is the shade Laguna Beach, which is definitely more of a neutral / cool bronzer in my collection. Hopefully it still looks that way next to such an extremely cool toned eye, because it's really all about where the shade falls on the spectrum of warm and cool, because something might be cool toned to your eye, but then you put it next to something else and you're like, oh, now, you know, the perception of that color is way different. I think this is gonna work though. This isn't looking too orange or anything next to this eye look. But that's a question I've received a few times, because I feel like I do say in videos a lot like, oh, this lip shade doesn't match the eyes, or this blush shade doesn't fit in with the rest of the look. So that's what I'm referring to when I say things like that. I think we're safe with this contour shade though, thank goodness. I'm gonna add a little bit on the nose as well. It also doesn't help that most of the contour products we get at the drugstore are bronzers, and very rarely do I see an actual cool toned contour product. Now also from ColourPop, they just sent me their brand new Instant Crush Lip and Cheek Balms. Now y'all know how I feel about lip and cheek products. They mostly only look and feel good on the cheeks. So we will see about these. I pulled a few shades that I thought might work, but why don't we compare a couple side by side. This one is called Lucky You. Oh yeah, that's like a cool toned baby pink. It's a little brighter than I think I was going for this look, but it's definitely cool toned. This next one is called Adore You. Ooh, that's really pretty. Yeah, that's also cool. It's just very bold. And then I think this is the last one I want to try for this look that I think would work well. This is called Verified. Ooh, that's really pretty too. Actually, Verified looks a little bit warm in the context next to these two. What do we think will match best? I honestly think that baby pink is gonna look probably the most cohesive. So I think with this being a balm, finger application will probably be best, just to get like that warmth and pressure from the fingers. I'm gonna try to keep this light though. I don't want it to be the statement of the look. I will say that this look is giving me a little bit of 2011, 2012 nostalgia, because it's reminiscent to me of the original Naked palette and the shades that we were using back then. Everything comes full circle, y'all. Although I do think that this Ultra Ego palette has been compared to another Natasha Denona palette, one of the nude palettes. Yeah, is anyone else getting 2012 vibes here? So this balm does feel pretty nice on the skin. It's definitely a bit of a sticky feeling, or like a slick feeling, and it's adding quite a bit of radiance and dewiness to the skin, where I might not even put highlight over this because it already looks very radiant. But I'm not sure it's gonna be for people who don't like to have that dewy feeling on the skin, because I'm not 100% sure this is gonna dry down. So let's leave it alone for a little bit and try this lip and cheek balm on the lips. I'm hoping that because it's balmy and kind of slippy, that it works well. Why do we keep trying to make lip and cheek balms work? Full disclosure, I have been moisturizing my lips all morning in preparation to use this product and hope that my lips are nice and supple, and I've been really working on getting them not as dry. And one swipe of this and they look crusty. It's probably also a little bit of the shade, like this is much lighter of a pink than I would typically put on my lips, but the way that it's settling in my lip lines, can you see that? Yeah, that's not very flattering. I'm a little curious about using a different shade that's not as light and seeing if that's a bit more forgiving, although it won't be, you know, matchy to my face. Why did my lip turn so pink? Did that stain? Or was it just from me rubbing them? Why do my lips look so pink? Okay, let's put on Adore You as a lip balm. I think the thing is that these are slightly sheer. So when the baby pink settled into the lines, like you could see it very much in contrast with the rest of my lip, whereas a shade that's a little closer to my lip tone isn't gonna show that contrast as much. So this definitely looks better for sure. Does it match? But you can see it doesn't look as crusty. I might choose a different lip product for this look after all. I do think that these leave behind some kind of stain though, because now after 2 applications, my lips are looking dark. I'm like going through my lipstick collection in my head, trying to think of shades that I think would work well with this cool toned look. I think I have one in mind. Okay, so here we have the Revlon Super Lustrous Lipstick in Laidback Lilac. This is a pretty cool toned mauve-y shade. Yeah. Leave it to the classic, the OG Lustrous lipstick to save the day. I think that actually works well with the blush too. I love how this look came out. I'm so excited to wear more cool tones this season. Let me know, how do you feel about cool tones kind of taking the reins this fall? Tell me in the comments. I'd also love to see your recommendations for cool toned blush and lipstick in the comments, because I have a feeling if cool toned eyeshadow becomes a trend, people are also going to be looking for those products in cool tones to make cohesive looks. Thanks for spending time with me today. If you want to keep watching, join me over in this video next, where I do a full face of Profusion cosmetics because they are so slept on at the drugstore. I'll see you over there. Bye.